So we get straight into the NRL news. The first story, main story, Zach Lomax confirmed as a PNG chief, player number 5. How good of a signing is that? And are they going to be Premiership ready for 2028?
They could well be top 8, top 4 ready when Willie Peters takes over in 28.
Yeah, agreed.
They're at such an advantage over Perth Bears, Dan, that
Yeah,
it kind of seems unfair. It kind of
yeah, it
seems
does.
unfair that the PNG chief, they're able to speak to players now. Perth
Yeah,
Bears weren't. Perth Bears are still trying to sign players for next year. The PNG Hunters are at such an advantage. When you look at the 5 players that they've signed already, number 1 marquee in Jerome Luai, AJ, who's the top try scorer. You've got
yeah,
so many brilliant players that want to go to PNG, particularly for what is a higher contract than what they would be on in the NRL in mainstay
yeah.
Australia or New Zealand. So
It's
it's another huge signing, And when you look at the other players that they're linked with, I think Craig Bellamy's come out this week and said he would give his blessing for Cameron Munster to move over to the PNG team. So
that moves us into our next story, because Cam Munster has been given permission by the actual club, not just Bellamy. He's been given permission to speak to them, and you've got to understand, from especially a player who's been incredible in the game, achieved a lot, coming towards the end of his career. I mean, he's still got years left in him, Cam Munster, but what I'm saying is he's not a 25-year-old kid who's got plenty of years left. So they're looking at it to say, thank you for everything you've done for us. Go and get your nest egg from PNG and have a nice retirement. And it's really nice for Melbourne and for Craig Bellamy to do that for Cam. And if they can start off with Cam Munster and Jerome Luai as the halves, it's ridiculous, to say the least.
Well, as I say, that's a huge advantage over the Perth Bears, isn't it? When you look at their roster. So,
well, they're looking at, I think Perth Bears, as it stands, are going to have Wishart at 6 from Melbourne Storm, Toby Sexton at 7, or vice versa, who's obviously at Catalan Dragons in the Super League at the moment. And they've just announced, obviously, a few more signings, which we'll go into a bit later. So if you compare just the spines, not so much the squads packed out, if you compare the spines, it's night and day already.
Well, when you put in a squad of players together, the first 5 people that you look at are you 1, 6, 7, 9, and 13. So
Agreed,
I think the PNG Hunters are at a huge advantage. But you can only do what you can do, and Shamus and with Willie Peters particularly, are signing what are ultimate state of origin international players in them positions that are gonna see them. I would say that they would be top 8 ready.
Yeah, and you can't, like you said, you can't take it away from Michael Chamis and Lorna McPherson, the 2 people that's heading up that franchise and have done incredible work so far. They're just using the tools that they've got available. But I do feel it's only now starting to hit home with a lot of fans, with some clubs, of how powerful of a tool they've been given. Because there was only a few people that really pushed back when this was announced, even over the past 6 months, 12 months. One was Gus. He was very against it, saying how unfair it is. And I think I can't remember the other one. There's a couple of other people that were mainstream media. And I think now the fans are starting to see, actually, they're getting these big deals, these big players across the line. It's now hitting home. And I just think I personally think it's a good thing to have PNG Chiefs in there. I just think they may have a slight, the advantage is slightly too big, if you know what I mean. There should be a rule put in place where they're only allowed to have, 25% of the squad that's allowed on tax-free money or whatever it may be. You should only have so many marquee spots for that. But it's the whole squad of 30s allowed all the tax-free. And I just think it's now coming to fruition that, maybe it's because it's just basically like playing fantasy football. You just pick who you want, offer them what you want, and you get them.
Not even pick who you want. They're coming to them. To them.
Yeah, that's true.
Their managers are going to PNG Hunters and saying, "I want my client with you." that's unheard of, isn't it?
Yeah.
Managers that want their player to go to the Roosters don't ring up and say, "I want my player to come to you." They usually go to the Roosters. Usually go to them, or Melbourne Storm go to them. So
Yeah,
it's a huge advantage. A huge advantage.
The other big story that's been happening over the past week, I would say now, the Adam Dewey fallout with coach Benji Marshall and the West Tigers. On the weekend just gone, he refused to play. That's open knowledge. He refused to play because Benji tried to change his starting position. I think it was reported, obviously, he's been playing 7. I think they wanted him to play at 13, and he didn't want to. More stories have been breaking in the last couple of days. Reports of gym sessions where players are vaping in the gym sessions. Don't know how true that is. And the other one is Dewey has had a meeting with the West Tigers representatives on Monday morning. He's committed to the Tigers for the rest of the season, and I've not checked the team list yet, but I'm pretty sure he's back in the squad for this week. Where do you stand on his actions? If you experienced it, especially when you was a manager last year, how would you have dealt with that, and how do you think the Tigers should dealt with Adam Dewey going forward?
Well, I've never refused to play out of position or in a different position. I've always actually gone on the field and tried to do my best. Yeah. I don't think I was a middle player. I was asked to play middle a couple of times. At OKR, I didn't particularly enjoy it.
No,
it wasn't for me. I was always the left edge player or a half, if you like. So it was tough. It was tough to play in the middle. I didn't refuse to do it. I wouldn't have refused to do it. If that's what the coach sees fit, then that's what you do. Ultimately, you're a paid professional player, and whatever you're told. I learned this very early in my career. I was signing my academy forms as an academy player, and the guy Mel Harmon clipped me around the ear once I'd signed the contract and said, "You're ours now. You do as you're told."
Yeah.
And that sticks with me forever. That you are their property and you are their player and you do as they say.
Yeah.
I would never have refused to play. I can understand Adam Dewey being upset by it, because ultimately he's been probably the best half all year.
Yeah.
The most consistent half all year at the club. I can certainly understand Benji's way of thinking, that he wants to get another player in the team, and he's training with him all week. Bear in mind, he was on a charge and he was fighting that charge.
Yeah,
Adam Dewey. So I can understand that he's trained all week with that player in the halves, and then Dewey slots in at 13. It's a role which isn't unfamiliar to him because he's done it before with and had really good success.
I was going to say, because with you want to be the star man, the 7 or the 6. I understand that. But in the modern game, 13 for me is like an additional half. So it's not like when we used to watch, yourself, Paul Cooke, Thorpe, Andy Farrells of the world, Craig Fitzgibbon dropped in there, whoever it may be. There used to be an extension to the front rowers in a sense, or you'd be the pivot in between them and your halves. Now, I feel you watch Morgan Knowles play for the Dolphins. He does more ball movement than he does running the ball forward. So I don't see I personally didn't see the problem. 1, because I think the position's changed. 2, like you said, you're getting paid by the club, so you should do as you're told and try and help the team. Moving forward, how would you, if you was in Benji Marshall's position, how would you have dealt with it differently? Would he be back in the team this week or not?
I don't know. I think it depends what was said behind closed doors and how they left it. I don't see it being an issue if you iron things out, putting him back in the team. I think he'll go back in the halves as well.
Yeah.
But the message that sends out to other players is interesting, because that may well say, and Adam Dewey is one of the top players at the club, but that may well say you can just go in there and kick up a fuss and be back in your rightful position if that's where you see fit.
It just seems like
I'm not sure about that. So
it just seems like a disaster, doesn't it? West Tigers at the moment. I don't know what the hell's gone on there, because they started the season so strong, and I thought, wow, one of the best since Benji was playing. And they went on to win it. I thought this is one of the best teams they've put together. The harmony was there, and then just since that Jerome Luai announcement to the PNG Chiefs, it is just one thing after another, and they're now set third or second to the bottom of the table.
Yeah, too many noises, Dan. Too many off field, too many distractions, too many. Too many noises in a club. We see it over here with a couple of clubs that have had too many noises come out of them, and it doesn't work. It doesn't bode well for harmony, and it doesn't bode well for on-field results. So,
no, it doesn't.
We certainly hope, and I certainly hope that this is now finished with Adam Dewey, and next year everything can be better for Benji. Because one thing is for certain, I think he's a brilliant young coach, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
He was a brilliant player.
Yeah.
He's put together a roster of players that are well capable of beating any other team in the competition. They've just got to be more consistent and better at what they do. And certainly, if there's the other stuff that we've spoken about is happening at the club, then somebody needs to come down with an iron fist on that, because that's unacceptable. Them things, when you see some stuff needs sorting at the club.
When you see Benji as well, he obviously bleeds West Tigers. He's West Tigers through and through. He comes across, from my point of view, as I'd run through a wall for him if I was a West Tigers player, but it doesn't seem like he's getting that response from some of the players.
Well, it started like that though, Dan, didn't it? So
yeah,
he's got to bottle up whatever was started with, and try and get that instilled in the team from minute 1, 2027 season right through to the end of the regular season.
Yeah, agreed. Moving on, the Perth Bears have actually been very busy in the transfer market this week. They have confirmed Tyson Smoothie from Wakefield Trinity, Junior Paulo from the Parramatta Eels, Morgan Smithies from the Canberra Raiders, and Jack Cole, the young half from Penrith Panthers. They're 4 very, very good signings for the Bears.
Yeah, they are, absolutely. The Tyson Smoothie one's a brilliant one.
Yeah,
I've seen him live. I think up there with Brad O'Neill, Jez Litton as the best nines in the comp. If not, I think his service from 9 is the best in our comp right now. He's tough defensively. He's been a brilliant signing. Along with the rest of them, they'll certainly add to the Perth Bears, and it's nice to see that they've got some signings over the line, Dan, for 2027, because you can begin to look at that organisation and think, where they're going, what are they up to, what's happening at the club, because the PNG Chiefs are signing more players than them, and they've still got another year to wait.
Yeah, the one thing I was looking at here, because I was going through the potential Perth Bears starting team for next season after all these signings. You're going to have Smithies at 13, I would imagine. Smoothie would be in 9, as we said earlier. Sexton and Wishart in the halves. You've got Shibasaki, Harry Newman, Sean Russell. There's a few others as well. And I thought, these are international players. They are NRL players. There's a lot of experience in there. And as I said last week, they just need to get that one marquee player in there, because I don't think the squad's a bad squad. Just looking at it looks a good team on paper. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, but I think the Perth Bears are going to shock a few teams who are expecting to beat them next season. I think
they'll be very much like the Dolphins year 1, Dan. When you look at what the squad Wayne Bennett put together, there was I don't think there was a marquee player. Taboa Fidel became a marquee player in terms of
he did.
He'd moved from the Cowboys, I believe, wasn't it? And he became an Origin player and an international player from being at the Dolphins. I don't think they signed a marquee player, if you like, and a genuine world-class half or spine player. So I think it'll be very much like the Dolphins year 1.
Yeah, agreed with that. I seen another piece of news. It's not yet been confirmed, but it's very close. Canberra Raiders back rower Hudson Young set for a 4-year extension worth $3 million over 4 years. 1, he deserves it in my opinion, and 2, how relieved will the Raiders be that the Chiefs, for instance, can't come along and steal his services?
Yeah, I think so. He's a big player for the Raiders, left edge back row, Australian international, New South Welshman, state of origin player. So yeah, huge news for the Raiders. It seems every year almost, though, they have a rebuild, if you like, and they lose some great players. Jamal Fogarty last year, so it seems every year that they're talking about their players being picked off. The PNG Chiefs have got everybody on notice. There's no question about that.
Yeah, they have.
because of how easy it is for their manager just to call them up if they're a quality player. You know, you can imagine Hudson Young's manager calling up Shamus and Willie Peters and co at the Chiefs and saying, you know, he wants to come to you, then the deal would be done, wouldn't it? There'd be no question. So big news for Raiders. Really pleased for them. I've always liked the Raiders since the Mal Meninga days and Ricky Stewart days myself, watching the old Winfield Cup.
There's a lot of British people that have that affiliation, the Mal Meninga, Canberra Raiders connection. But yeah, in terms of Hudson Young, one of the best, if not best on form back rows in the competition. Yeah. It's just unfortunate that, like we mentioned last week, he's out for the rest of the season and the World Cup now. The last bit of news that we obviously spoke about, well, there's two bits to do with the Roosters. The first bit, the young half, Hugo Savala, agreed a 2-year extension. And obviously the big news of Daly Cherry Evans retiring. How would you put how would you sum up Cherry Evans' career? Because he's done everything that's possibly available to him.
Yeah, champion player. It's difficult, isn't it, for him, because he's been in an era where you've had Thurston at Queensland international level right throughout. So, you know, you look at his career, he's squeezed every ounce out of himself and his body. There's no question he's very well respected, both at Manly, now the Roosters, and throughout the game at international and state of origin level. So he's certainly earned his money, he's earned his retirement. He's been a phenomenal player and a player that makes a difference week in, week out to Manly, particularly over the number of years he was with them. But he could well finish with a premiership with the Roosters this year on current form. So, you know, it'd be sad to see him hang his boots up. You know, he's of an older age, if you like, probably the oldest in the competition, but he's certainly still producing displays which are worthy of probably another year or two. Probably one more year at the very least, but you know, he's going to hang up his boots and can do so with real pride and admiration from everybody.
Yeah, agreed. He's been phenomenal. It'd be sad to see him go because he's been unbelievable. And even when we mentioned the other week that he was still in contention of the Queensland selection, so that just shows the levels that he's still at. That kind of wraps it up now for the NRL news this week. We'll take a quick break and then we'll be back for the NRL results of round 21.